Hello, it's Monday night. I'm starting a little bit early, just by a few minutes, because I'm just kind of sitting here staring at the screen, ready to get started, and I'm quite eager to do that. So I thought there's no point me just sitting here. Let's get going and chat to people. So I will be importing this 3D model into iClone so that I can use it for chapter 16. Boondock Saints 176, welcome, hello. Yeah, so at the moment it's untextured, but I'll be fixing that as we go on. As you can see, got some new merchandise available in the channel store. Be sure to check that out. And give people a few minutes to join us here before I get started on all these textures and things that need to be done. I'm actually quite pleased with this model though, and I think it's going to look great once we've got all tech. I mean, I can't take credit for making this. It's one that I found in a model pack by, let's have a look. Elrates, I believe. Elrates, that's it. Elrates. Loads of huge pack of Star Wars ship models to be used. I think they were originally thought to be put together for game mods, but there's no reason it wouldn't apply to this as well. Grand Admiral Thrawn, welcome, and Thomas, also welcome. There is a variation of the cruiser without the gravity wells in the pack, but I don't need to import that because it's not in the scene, it's just the interdictor. And I'm glad you enjoyed chapter 15. Now chapter 16 is the one I'm really excited about because it's the halfway point of the book, and it's got some excellent moments in it which I'm really excited to bring to life. So we'll have to see where that goes. Sam King, I'm glad you feel alive, so welcome. I hope everyone did enjoy chapter 15, released it last Thursday. It certainly had quite a few hits, which makes me happy. And I tried to show different things for behind the scenes so I'm not repeating myself, and I was thinking about what to do earlier, and I thought I've never shown anyone the process of importing a ship, because since I started streaming I had all the ship models I needed. So this is the first time I'm bringing in something new, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you guys what goes into doing that, and yeah, I'm just kind of rambling a bit, so I do apologise for not streaming last week. I was dealing with some personal stuff that left me feeling pretty exhausted, and I didn't think I would be very entertaining, so I decided that the best thing to do would be just to hold back and come back this week. So here I am, feeling still a bit tired, but hopefully I can be good for you guys. Plastic Dragon. Well, I'll keep that in mind and ramble somewhat. So normally I give people 10 minutes to join us, but I'm really eager to get going, and the first step of this is going to be adding the textures to this model, and that's going to take a little while. Hoppy, just a ship so far. Maybe the speeder and the cup can come later. But there's a nice Phantom Menace reference there. So, I've gone to the material section in iClone. iWill Productions, welcome. I hope you enjoyed chapter 15. Hoppy, okay, we'll get started. Well, after I'm just going to say that there's new merchandise in the channel store if anyone's interested. We've got some t-shirts with May the Throne be with you on. I mean, given that that's kind of our greeting or parting message, it seemed like something should be done with that. So I hope you guys like what I've done there. Anyway, like I said, let's get started. iWill Productions. I thought it might be you. So I'm glad you enjoyed chapter 15. And I do enjoy your posts on Instagram as well. So, let's start with the hull because it's the biggest piece. So on the left here you've got all the different... These are all different objects that make up the whole ship. So the hull, if I turn that off, it makes it invisible. So we're going to start with the hull because that's the big main piece. And on the right here, you select material. This object only has one. Some objects have lots of different textures, but this one only has one. So, diffuse. Let's go and find the textures. Where did I put it? Immobilizer. Textures. Hull. I don't know if you could see me looking through the file browser. I'm guessing not from the way... Yeah. So I was looking through my file browser there to, the file manager thing to find the texture there. So it didn't show up on the stream. So if you can't see that, that's what I was doing. So we've got the hull texture. Don't believe it's on the... Oh, it's on the bottom. It's just because it's in the shadow, it's hard to see. So what I'm going to do just for the moment is just to bring the diffuse textures in, and that's the way it's painted. And there are other texture types like bump maps and things, so that the bump maps would mean that you see these lines here where there are different panels. It would make them actually stand out and have a little bit of 3D look to it. So they do look like there's panels and there's little gaps between them. But I'll do that later in iClone because it's a lot easier. I also got PBR, which is a way to make textures look like the material they are meant to be. But this piece of software doesn't do PBR. I have to do it in iClone itself. Am I going to make the beams visible or invisible? I'm going to say invisible because they never really struck me as something that would be visible. It's just gravity. And when they had the Interdictor in Rebels, again it was invisible. So I think we'll go invisible for it. Right, so next up we've got the bridge. Fortunately, even though the name of the folders are not in English, I think it's very straightforward what each one is going to be. Sensor pads. And this that about things being straightforward, and I have no idea. We'll come back to that one. Right, trench. I'm guessing this is the Excuse me. I had some cookies just before streaming, and apparently I swallowed a little bit of one down the wrong way. Excuse me there. Right, so trench. Yep, it's the edges of the ship. Not really a surprise there. Just actually checking my folders again for a second. So mass generator. They're kicking in yet? You mean the cookies? A little bit. That's going well. I see, these are all the gun turrets, which is fine. Lights, do we have anything for that yet? Yes, we do. I would hope cookies are legal. They didn't have any controlled substances in. It's just chocolate. Captain Spire, yes, this is a Interdictor Cruiser. There's going to be one in chapter 16, so I thought I'd better get the model ready for it. We still have sensor pads. Okay. So go to back to Imperial, shared texture, sensor pads, because they're in there for some reason, and that's fine. There's a whole folder of textures that are shared by lots of models, and so I guess it makes sense that some of the would be in there rather than with the Interdictor. Yeah, Artemis, I agree. If cookies were illegal, I don't know what that would be like, other than I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to live in that world. Right, so QLT2. So QLT stands for Quad Turbo Laser Light. Where is the Quad Turbo Laser Light? Must be this one. Let's have a look. Does that look right? It does not. Captain Spire, thank you so much for that and for your kind words. I'm glad that you're appreciating my work and everything I do, and so I appreciate your donation there, and I will be putting it toward the good use with the making the show. Alex Roberts, welcome. Nope, that's not the right. That's not the right one. I realise you can't see what I'm looking at. I'm bringing up the. So when I click on that to open and browse the files, the stream OBS doesn't pick it up. But basically, I'm looking through the texture folders to find the right one for this gun turret. So maybe I'll come back to that. Let's start with the light. Let's see if I can get this one right, because So it's light turbo laser, which makes sense, LTL. But the folders are named differently, so they don't line up. And now I can't find this particular turret on the ship. Oh, there it is. That would be good to see. So I believe this is light turbo laser. The choice is light dual turbo laser or light. Yeah, I think it's the light. And that doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Alex Albert, yes, this is a Interdictor Cruiser. It's going to appear in Chapter 16, which is the next one on the production list. But obviously I need to get the model ready before I can animate it. Why can't I find the right texture? It's got to be here somewhere. Maybe it's in. No, it's not in there. It's in here. It is not. Peter Wilson, yeah, I'm really excited for Chapter 16, the halfway point of the book, which is never a point I thought I would ever reach. But I'm excited to be working on it. I can't take credit for making the model, just importing it and hopefully getting the textures right. I don't know why. This is tricky because I want the textures to be right, but none of the files I'm loading are lining up properly, and they should. If you're meaning Luke meeting Mara Jade, I believe that is Chapter 19. I do have the script written for it, but it's been a little while since I've looked that far ahead, so I can't remember offhand. Anakin, where would you like me to join you? Hoppy, that's not until the end of book 3. That's a little bit far off. So I have to say I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Other than I'm looking forward to doing a lightsaber duel. Obviously, in the books there are not really any lightsaber duels except for that last one that I can remember, at least. So I'm looking forward to doing the motion capture for that. I would like to do the other 2 books, but they're a lot of work, so I'm just trying to focus on this one first. Because if I start thinking about how many chapters are ahead of me for the whole trilogy, I might start pulling my hair out. I mean, I enjoy doing it, of course. It's just, it's going to take quite some time to get there, especially if I can't find the right texture for these turrets. You know what I might actually do is just give them a grey texture. We're not going to get close enough to see all the detail. Yeah, let's do that. So Alexis, this book takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi in the old expanded universe canon rather than the new Disney canon. So yeah, that actually works. Grey texture. I'm just going to do that. It's lazy, but I don't want to spend the entire stream browsing for textures. It's not going to be exciting for you, especially since you can't even see the files I'm looking at. And the end result's going to be the same anyway, because we're not going to get close enough to see. No, not that. We're not going to get close enough to see. I guess I have to stop being lazy and move it in. Yeah, so the way I'm planning the scene out, you're not going to get close enough to see the ship anyway. So I think this will work. Oh, there's missed the turret there. Oh, is that? Because it's shiny, I can't tell if... No, I haven't textured it. No, I have. And there should be one on that side, that's done. Yeah, because I haven't done the full textures yet. It's shiny, which means that I can't always tell if I've put the right texture on it or not. So, because the actors, the voice actors, and I are doing it for fun, obviously we need to pay the bills, and we can't, dedicate our lives just to this, unfortunately. So, we do our parts as we can. So sometimes I can't work until I've got all the dialogue, because what I like to do is edit together a rough version of a scene with all the dialogue, so I can listen to it when I perform the motion capture. So all my movement timings match the dialogue, and since I started doing that, I'm a lot happier with the way the scenes play out. That means I can't do it until I have all the dialogue. I can do space scenes like this and import stuff, which is what I'm doing now. Mary James. I don't remember firing any shots either. I need to reread the chapter again before I actually animate it. But yeah, I believe it's just the Chimera that opens fire. That the Interdictor kind of just hangs back. Obviously, it does have weapons. It's just not going to fire any. They're not the strongest ships, so and I imagine they're quite expensive, and Thrawn's not going to risk one on a whim. So yeah, it'll probably just stay back, and the Chimera's the one that... Well, also the Chimera's the one that wanted to capture Luke anyway, because they got all these Lemuria aboard. Right, so this Interdictor Cruiser is ready to go into iClone. I haven't done all the other texture options yet, the different types of textures, because it's much better to do those within iClone, because of the other types of textures that iClone supports, but this 3D Exchange does not. 3D Exchange is a piece of software that works with iClone solely for importing objects and animations. Right, so let me just import this. I don't know if it's going to show up on the stream. I've just gone through the import options and it says successfully exported, so that's great. My day has been quite warm. Not been as productive as I would have liked because it's a little bit too warm for me. How about your day? Right, so I'm going to close 3D Exchange and load up iClone. Turns out I already have iClone loaded. That was handy. But you might get a moment of blank screen as I make the switch over. So if it goes blank, do not panic. Because I've got to change setting. There we go. Alex, yeah, I'm in the UK too. In the south, it was 28 degrees today. I didn't enjoy it that much. And tomorrow it's supposed to be even hotter, which I'm going to enjoy even less. Thomas, yes, of course, it's Labour Day, isn't it? I don't really know too much about Labour Day, but I hope you're having a good one. Whatever it is that you guys do on Labour Day. So the Interdictor is imported. It's quite tiny, so we're going to make that bigger. Artemis, yeah. It's too hot everywhere by the sound of things. Well, Thomas, you get air conditioning in the UK. That's air conditioning is quite rare. Right, so what I'm going to do next is this needs to look right in space. So I'm going to load up the space lighting settings I tend to use, so I know that it's going to look right or not. It's kind of got that plastic model look, which is what I like. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, so I've got some more ideas for merchandise as well. I just haven't had time to design them yet. Alex, I know what you mean. This book doesn't feel like it's as old as it should be. Right, so we're going to bring in the proper types of textures now to give it that extra little bit of detail. So we're going to do the bump map first, and if you look at these lines here, in a moment you should see a difference once I bring in the texture. I think we want that one. There we go. See all the lines? See, that's a little bit. So instead of just being looking like a flat image, you actually gives the impression that there are actually panels making up the whole. Tohan, you're welcome. I hope you're enjoying my work. This is a way to see just what goes into it. We also have a what's it? Ambience Occlusion Map, which I just brought in. Basically the way texturing works is you have, if you're not familiar with it, is you have the base layer, which is the colour of it, which in this case had all the panels drawn on. You have the bump texture, which produces the lines, so they look like there's some depth between the panels. And there's two types of that, there's normal and bump. I've gone with normal, which is this purple coloured one here. You have Ambient Occlusion, which I'm still trying to... I understand the concept, but I'm not sure I know how to explain it properly. Then you've got Metallic and Roughness, which change the way the textures work. So you can change it so the texture looks like the material it's meant to be made out of. So if you want to make something really shiny, you could do that, or and so on. Then you've got some other options here, like Glow and Blend, which is great for lights. Displacement is similar to Bump Map, but it can be more extreme. I actually find that it's a little bit too extreme, so I don't usually touch it. I'll give you guys an example though. If I bring in... This is a displacement map. It kind of makes the surface stand out more, but there's also gaps here because that's the way it works. I don't like that. We don't need to see into the hull of the ship, so we'll get rid of that texture. So what I'm going to do is add that texture there to roughness, which should help with the hull. What's my favourite bounty hunter ship? Ooh. I always like the Slave 1. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Always had a soft spot for that ship. Right, so that's the hull done. Almost. It's a little bit too shiny. Like I said, I am aiming to go for that plastic model look that we had in the original trilogy. So I'm going to play around with the settings a little bit. And I think that covers it. Obviously I need to now do the same thing for the for the other one. So I guess I should have expected that Slave 1 name change would come up when I said that. Let me just have a drink of water and then I'll address my feelings on it. So it's a rumour that started because LEGO changed the name in the latest set to Boba Fett's Starship rather than Slave 1. Now, LEGO do this all the time. Sometimes they'll release a set and they'll give it the name of the ship. But then they also may release the same set or an updated one or a different one a few years later, and then they'll just give it a generic name. Like they had the Shuttle Tidarium was a set they released a few years back, and then this year they released the Imperial Shuttle LEGO set. So I think what they've done there is more or less the same thing until we actually watch the Boba Fett show, and if they give it a new name in that show, then they've changed it. But until then, it's just a marketing thing that LEGO have done. Because they've had several Slave 1 sets over the last few years, so it makes sense that maybe this time they wanted to name it something slightly different to make it stand out from the ones that they've had available quite recently, and I understand that from a marketing perspective. So that doesn't mean that the ship's been renamed. So I've then done the textures for the gravity well emitters. What else can we do? The bridge. We'll do the bridge next. Well, I was using that idea in this example, but they've done it with other LEGO sets as well. You can get Luke's X-Wing, but then they just do a generic X-Wing, and even though Luke's still the pilot that comes with it. So it doesn't really mean anything until we actually get if within the show, if they name the ship as something else, then they have changed the name. But until then, I'm just going to treat it as if they haven't. It's just a marketing thing from LEGO. Admiral Moo, welcome. Bring in the AO. For some reason, this comes with some blue glowing things, and I suspect that's going to be the engines. Yes, it was. So this is a glow map, which once applied makes the engines glow, which, there we go. Let me just change that to edition. Admiral Moo, I haven't read any of those books, so I can't comment on it. So I can't say one way or the other because I haven't read them, so I have no idea. But feel free to talk about it in the chat. Anyone who has read it. James Gorman, I went looking for ship models quite some time ago. This one is from a pack by Elrites, and he's put together a large collection of 3D models of Star Wars ships for, I'm guessing they're meant to be for game mods, but they're also the perfect format for this. So I've been importing them, and also from Evil Jedi. He's got a similar pack of ships for mods, and it's very handy. I can't remember the website offhand. Baron Fade, bring very similar thought. So Alex Roberts, I understand it is quite late here in the UK, so I hope you sleep well. If you want to catch up with the rest of the stream, when you wake up, it will be on the channel. As soon as I finish streaming, it gets added, so you can catch up with it there. What? Alex Roberts is what I said. I have not got the bust from Sideshow. I'm kind of tempted, but I've got nowhere to put it. I've got the old bust that they did many years ago, and I haven't got. He's still in the box because I've got nowhere to put him safely. Which is kind of frustrating. Make sure that's right. Oh yeah, the bridge needs to have brighter roughness, so it's not quite so shiny. I think I looked up on the UK Amazon, which is, because obviously in the UK I have to order it from here, and it wasn't listed then. Maybe I'll have another look. Oh yeah, sensor pads. The Interdictor does have a Hangar Bay. There it is. There's not a lot of detail inside it. I don't think we really need it. I don't think it carries a huge complement of fighters or anything like a Star Destroyer does, but you can obviously dock something in here. Right, so back to the sensor pads. I was calling them sensor pads because that is the designation for the component in the 3D model. I can't control that, so I'm referring to them as sensor pads because it helps me find the right textures. Now look at that extra little detail on there, and no one's ever going to see it because we're not getting that close to the model. But it's nice to know that it's there. I mean, this looks great already. I can't wait to animate this scene with this ship. What would I do if I couldn't find a 3D model of a specific ship? So far I've been incredibly lucky and not had to worry about that. But if it came up, then I would either try to model it myself, or if it was something that needed a lot of work, I'd probably post on the YouTube channel asking if anyone could help me out with it. Well, Interdictor Cruisers are in quite a few of the games. They're in Empire at War, Rebellion, I believe they're in TIE Fighter, X-Wing vs TIE Fighter and X-Wing Alliance. What else are they in? I can't remember now. Happy little ships. Now, I kind of wish I got the Bob Ross hair, and then I could set up a video camera so you could see me doing this and happy little ships. But unfortunately, I don't have Bob Ross's hair, so I won't be doing that. Alright, next thing is the hull lights. So these are all the little windows and things. So let's put the emitter on. Now those lights are very bright, so we are going to lower them to about that sort of level. So they look lit up, but they're not way over the top. 3D render. I suppose I could do that. I do have a 3D printer. So there we go. What was this? Somebody X. Actually, you do have a good point there, because I did show the flashback of the outbound flight destruction, and you're right. There are no ships models. So what I ended up doing was the comic book adaptation of Thrawn, the book by Timothy Zahn, showing his rise from being discovered by the Empire all the way to Grand Admiral. Because there are just ships in it, so I looked at that to get an idea of the design, and I created a basic model of one because they're quite far away, so you don't need all the details. So I was happy to do that. I put it in, and it's in chapter 4. There's 3 of them. I don't think I really want Bob Ross's hair in a jar, so thank you, but no. Krogan, yeah, it's a series of comics. I do have the hardback somewhere, which I never actually got around to reading. So the outbound flight is the dreadnoughts. So I just noticed the lights in the hangar are on. That's nice. It's the dreadnoughts around a tank with all the supplies in it. I didn't model the dreadnoughts, but I did model the tank and then the supports to hold it all together. That was another one I did do, because that was a fairly straightforward design. I found the dreadnought models from somewhere else and just put them, attached them to the central core that I modelled myself, using the design from the book. You know, you're right about those colours. I think just realised I think I'm done with the cruiser. Yeah. And I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. It looks like a proper model that you'd expect them to use in... I mean, like the plastic models that they use for the practical effects, rather than CGI. Obviously it is CGI because it is. But yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I'm really looking forward to putting it into chapter 16, where we get to see Luke escaping the trap laid out by Thrawn. Let's answer some questions. So, is this legend size or canon size, or are they the same? As far as I know, they're the same. As far as this model goes, I haven't put it next to a Star Destroyer, but I will keep it to scale, Legends scale from what I remember of the game. So this is smaller than a Star Destroyer, and it will reflect that. I don't promise it'll be an exact scale because the models are different sizes, so I'll just have to eyeball it. I've got a few Black Series figures. Let's see, on my desk here I've got Grand Admiral Thrawn, of course. I've got Darth Vader, Jaina Solo, and I was very lucky going to a convention in London a couple of years ago with a friend of mine to get the Darth Revan figure, because they were so rare that they were sort of £120. But luckily, when I was walking around with her, we found the stall selling them for 40, which is more than they Black Series usually are, but I still thought it was a bargain, especially for Darth Revan. So that's what I got there. And I also have an Emperor Palpatine somewhere else. He's stashed away at the moment, so I need to get him out actually and put him up with the rest of the collection. But that's my Black Series collection anyway. Yeah, the friend that I was with when I got Darth Revan is in Heir to the Empire. She voices Winter in Chapter 2 and 5. And there's an upcoming chapter which I'll need to talk to her about at some point. And we'll have to figure that out. Admiral Moo, thank you for coming. I think because the ship's done, I'm going to be ending the stream shortly anyway. Actually, you know what we should do? Is... where's the Chimera? Well, let's see. That's going to be a slight problem. Well, not really. I'll just shrink it down. Oh yeah, I should save it as well. I imagine the gravity well generators require a lot of power. So if you put one on a Star Destroyer, you're taking away power from the from the weapon systems, and you don't always need the interdictor capability. So it makes sense to have a dedicated ship which you can use as needed, and you probably wouldn't need so many of them as you need Star Destroyers. So So what I had done is resized the interdictor because I thought it was going to be tiny. That is a more accurate scale, I think. I feel like it should be a lot bigger than that. It's 600 meters. Star Destroyer is 1,700, so that is the right size. I just feel like it should be bigger. What do you guys think? Should I keep it that size? Or should I make it bigger? Well, I haven't imported a good VSD model, so I think I'm going to keep it this size. Because what I think I was expecting it to be more that size. No, that's too big. That sort of size. Geek Squadron. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Baron Fade, thank you for coming. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I'm here every Monday, so hope to see you back again. Have fun at work. Thrawn's ship's an Imperial Star Destroyer, not a Victory Star Destroyer. Alright, we're going to keep it to the original size, which is that. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm excited to put it to good use. So, saved. So there'll be no laughing if it crashes. And I think I'm going to end the stream there because it's getting late. I've finished what I set out to do. And it's been great chatting to all of you. So, yeah, thank you all for coming. Hope you found this interesting. I'm looking forward to putting this into chapter 16 and animating that whole sequence. I know how it's all going to look. So, may the Thrawn be with you, and I will see you all next week. And so yeah, take care, stay safe, and see you then.